A cordial greeting. Today is Thursday, April 13, 2023. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking in today's video. We are going to talk about the forecast that the University of Colorado has just released regarding the 2023 hurricane season in the Atlantic region. The analysis from the University of Colorado was very interesting because they consider two factors to forecast a slightly less active hurricane season than normal during 2023. In their forecast, the University of Colorado anticipates the formation of 13 tropical storms, when the normal average is 14. They also forecast that 6 hurricanes will form, when the normal average is 7, and that 2 of these hurricanes will reach Category 3 or 4, when the normal average is 3. So when we compare these numbers with the typical values or averages of hurricane seasons from the past 30 years, we see that the University of Colorado is forecasting a slightly less active hurricane season than normal. The forecast from the University of Colorado is based primarily on 2 areas that have been analyzed in recent months. First, the tropical and subtropical Atlantic region, as well as the areas around the equator where the El Niño Southern Oscillation, ENSO, is being closely monitored. So these 2 factors are taken into consideration in this forecast, and we will start by discussing the evolution of what was the La Niña phenomenon that dissipated and the El Niño phenomenon that is expected to develop in the Pacific waters. Remember that El Niño has significant effects on the Atlantic Ocean basin and tends to reduce cyclonic activity. Then, in the second part of the video, we will be discussing the analysis of anomalies in sea surface temperatures in the tropical and subtropical Atlantic, which are currently above normal values. Let's continue looking at this animation that represents surface temperature anomalies in yellow and red colors, indicating warmer than normal temperatures, while blue colors indicate colder than normal surface temperatures. The first thing I want you to look at is the region near the equator in the Pacific, where we see these intense red colors that have been appearing in this animation during the last weeks of March and early April. This is an indication that the La Niña phenomenon has dissipated and we are now moving towards the El Niño phenomenon. Specifically, you can see these intense red colors emerging to the west of Ecuador and Peru, which is an indication that El Niño is likely to develop over the next few months. Remember that El Niño tends to suppress cyclonic activity in the Atlantic and the Caribbean because it causes stronger wind shear than usual along this region, which makes it difficult for systems to form and cyclones to strengthen. I would also like to share with you the next image that shows the anomalies in sea surface temperatures at deeper levels of the ocean, which can be seen in the following animation. You can see that since February we have been observing a warm water area that is located approximately at a depth of 150 meters moving slowly towards the east and will soon be reaching the surface of the equator region. It is precisely at this moment that we will probably see the development of El Niño, and not just a regular El Niño, but it is expected to be a strong El Niño. In fact, today's update on the El Niño Southern Oscillation, ENSO, forecast indicates that there is an 80% chance that El Niño will develop or be present during the months of August, September, and October, with only a 3% chance of La Niña. So, theoretically, we can say that it is almost certain that El Niño will develop, and this is one of the main reasons why the University of Colorado predicts a less active hurricane season than usual. Some global seasonal models, such as the European Ensemble model, also show the development of El Niño by May or June, and the strengthening of El Niño as we move towards the peak of the season. Currently, they show a very strong El Niño, possibly one of the strongest we have had in decades. So, the University of Colorado mentions that the main reason for predicting a slightly less active hurricane season is precisely the expected development of El Niño in the coming months. Now, the question is why a forecast of a slightly less active season? The reason is that, on the other hand, we are also seeing surface ocean temperatures in the Atlantic region continuing to rise over the past few months, especially in the subtropical and tropical Atlantic, with values ranging from 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal. So, although El Niño is expected to suppress cyclonic activity in the Atlantic, these above normal surface ocean temperatures may have a compensating factor of slightly higher cyclonic activity than anticipated if we simply had normal temperatures and a strong El Niño in the Pacific. Additionally, the University of Colorado shared these 2 images, where we see on the left-hand side the current temperature anomalies and on the right-hand side the correlation with seasons of hurricanes that have been very active, and we can see that when we have warm waters off the northwest of Africa in the tropical Atlantic, it is very similar to what we currently have. Historically, it has been shown that when these areas have warmer waters, it tends to aid in the formation of systems in the Atlantic. However, this year, the strong El Niño, along with the above normal temperatures, may counteract this effect. So, the University of Colorado was very clear in indicating that if it were not for the anomalies we have in the Atlantic, their forecast would have been much more conservative, and they would have likely predicted fewer storms and hurricanes than the current forecast. So, at the moment, We anticipate that the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean will have less activity than usual this year, but the higher density of tropical cyclones will likely develop just off the coast of West Africa and move towards the subtropical or eastern and southeastern United States. This goes hand in hand with the fact that the wind shear caused by El Niño will likely hinder the formation and strengthening of cyclones moving towards the Caribbean. But on the other hand, the warm temperatures in the Atlantic can favor more activity in the subtropical and central Atlantic regions. Well, that would be all for this video. Stay tuned, as in the coming days I will be recording a video about the changes that the National Hurricane Center will be implementing during the 2023 hurricane season.